Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Here is a new lesson for learning English. This text is adapted for A2 level. We use only simple and clear words. Look at the screen and listen to the speaker. This will help you understand English better. Repeat the phrases aloud with us. This is great practice for pronunciation and reading. If you do not understand the text, turn on subtitles in your language. Read, listen, and learn English with us. Today, we have a simple story about money. We begin. Let us go back 100,000 years. You are a great hunter. Today, you are very lucky. You killed a huge deer. You have a lot of fresh meat. You have a warm deer skin. But you broke your knife. Without it, you cannot hunt. You need a new strong knife right now. You go to a master in another village. This master makes the best knives. You offer him your meat. You want to get a knife in exchange. This is called barter. Barter is a direct exchange of goods. But a problem appears. The master does not need meat today. His cellar is full of food. But the master needs milk for his children. And you do not have a cow. You only have deer meat. The deal does not happen. You are upset. Your meat spoils quickly in the heat. You need to find someone who has milk. You must exchange meat for milk. Then exchange the milk for a knife. You walk around several houses. Finally, you find a person with a cow. You exchange the meat for a jug of milk. You run to the master with this jug. If you are fast, you will get your knife. This is how people lived thousands of years ago. Such exchange is not always convenient. People spent time on empty arguments. Trade in villages was very slow. The development of the world stood still. Humanity looked for a way out of this dead end. People needed one thing that everyone values. They needed an object that is easy to exchange. You exchange meat for this object. Then you exchange this object for a knife. Such an object is called a universal equivalent. And every country had its own. In ancient Mesopotamia, people valued barley grain. Barley gave people life and strength. Everyone wanted to have a supply of grain. Grain became the first money. People even created measures for grain. One bowl was called a silla. For one sheep, they gave 100 bowls. It was clear and fair. But grain had disadvantages. It was very heavy. It was difficult to carry to another city. Mice ate it in cellars. Grain rotted quickly from dampness. On warm shores, people found another solution. These were small cowrie shells. They were very beautiful and strong. It was pleasant to hold them in hands. The main thing was that they were easy to carry in a small bag. Cowrie shells became currency in India. People valued them because they were rare. You cannot find these shells in the forest. It was impossible to fake them. Nature created their perfect shape. Cowrie shells served people for thousands of years. Even in Africa, people bought everything with them. These were the first global money. In the cold forests of Northern Europe, people found another currency. There were no shells there, but there were many valuable animals. The main item for exchange was the soft and warm fur of a marten. In ancient Slavic lands, it was called kuna. Marten fur was valued all over the world for its beauty and shine. Hunters exchanged skins for grain, axes, and strong knives. Later, people got used to this name for money. When the first coins appeared, they were called kunas. For a long time, this word became part of the history of money systems in the North. But fur had one serious disadvantage. Ordinary moths could quickly eat all your savings. Skins could fade in the sun or get damaged by moisture. So northern people also needed another material for exchange. In hot Ethiopia, people valued salt. It was a rare and important product. Salt helped to keep meat for a long time. Without salt, a person quickly lost strength. People made heavy bricks from salt. At the market, they broke off a piece from the brick. This was payment for goods. But salt was afraid of rain. Water could simply dissolve your wealth. Humanity looked for material for money. This material must not rot. It must not be afraid of water. It must be very rare. So people discovered metals. Copper, silver, and gold changed everything. Metal does not fear insects or time. It can be melted into any shape. It can be divided into parts. Gold was always a symbol of power. People valued silver for its purity and shine. At first, there were simple ingots or rough copper rings. It seemed that perfect money was found. But a new problem appeared: scales. Every purchase started with scales. You give a piece of silver for shoes. The seller takes out his scales. But you do not trust his weights. You are afraid of cheating. The seller is also nervous. Very quickly, cheaters appeared. They mixed cheap lead into silver. Outside, the ingot shone like real silver. But inside, it was almost useless. It was impossible to check this at the market. Trade turned into endless arguments. People spent hours on checks. The economy began to slow down. Everyone needed a single standard. They needed honest confirmation of weight and purity of metal. So the world came to a great discovery. Rulers decided to put a seal on the metal. The stamp guaranteed honesty and weight. This was a real breakthrough. This is how the first coins were born. Now you did not need scales. You just needed to count the coins. In the ancient state of Lydia ruled the famous King Croesus. He was incredibly rich and loved order very much. Croesus was the first to clean gold from extra impurities. He ordered to make identical pieces of metal of the same weight. On each such coin, they stamped the head of a fierce lion. Why a lion? In those times, the lion was a symbol of highest power. It was the strongest and bravest predator around. The lion on the coin meant the personal guarantee of the great king. The sign told everyone, "This gold is protected by my power." You exactly know the price of each coin. Other people see the lion on the coin and trust the ruler. Neighboring countries quickly understood the benefit of such convenient money. In Greece, cities began to mint their beautiful coins. On silver in Athens sat a wise owl. On the islands, people stamped sea turtles on the metal. Later, the Roman silver denarius went around the world. On it, you could see the face of the emperor himself. For people in distant provinces, this was important news. This is how they learned who ruled the huge world now. But keeping a big empire always required a lot of gold. Rulers needed to build palaces and feed soldiers. All this needed money. Then the emperors decided to take a clever step. They began to change the composition of their coins. They added ordinary copper to pure silver. They made new shiny coins from this mixture. Outside, they looked exactly like old denarii. The emperor still looked strictly on them, but there was twice less silver inside. At first, people did not see this trick, but in time, the truth always comes out. The coins began to darken quickly. People understood that there was less metal in these coins. So at the market, they asked for more of these coins for bread. Your trust in the king and his money disappears. Cheaters also start dangerous games. They take a heavy gold coin. With a sharp file, they carefully file down the edges of the round coin. They make it a little smaller. It is almost unnoticeable. They collect the gold dust and later cast their own coins from it. There were too many such thieves. Coins in purses became crooked and very light. Trade almost stopped because of this constant cheating. Great scientist Newton brought order to this chaos. He invented making small stripes on the edges of coins. Now you immediately see traces from the sharp file. If the edge is smooth, someone wants to cheat you. You simply do not take such a coin. So, you became a rich merchant. You need to go for goods to other countries. You need to carry your money there somehow. Robbers wait for you in the forests, and pirates at sea. You do not want to lose your heavy chests with gold. So you come to the city square. There, at a long wooden table, sits a special person. People call this table Banco. The person takes your gold under his protection. In exchange, he gives you a sheet of paper. A secret code is written on this sheet. You travel to another city without any guards. There you find the same table. Another person reads the paper and gives you gold. You feel completely safe on the road. Now you trust not only the shine of metal. You believe the paper and the honest word of this person. This is how bills of exchange appear in your life. Your trade business takes you to distant ancient China. There you see something completely surprising and new. In one province, people use coins made of iron. Iron is cheap and very heavy. To buy a bag of tea, you need a whole cart. The metal rattles loudly and makes it hard to walk fast. Local merchants got tired of such heavy load long ago. They invented leaving their iron at special warehouses. In exchange, they receive an ordinary sheet of paper from the guards. On this sheet is written the sum of your iron deposit. You take this sheet and go to the market. Sellers gladly accept these papers. They trust the seal of the warehouse and the honest word of the merchants. You feel that your life becomes much easier. The government of China quickly understood the great benefit of this idea. It forbade merchants to print their own notes. The authorities themselves began to issue the first paper money. They called them jiaozi. This means exchange signs in simple language. This was the first printing press in the world. But paper had a serious disadvantage. It was too easy to print at any time. The authorities of China could not resist this temptation. They began to print a lot of paper. Soon there were more paper signs than real goods. Money began to lose its power quickly. People wanted to return to ringing metal coins again. This was the first collapse of paper money in history. Paper money appeared in Europe much later. In the 17th century, there was a shortage of silver in Sweden. Only copper remained. The authorities began to mint large plates. One such copper plate weighed 20 kilograms. Imagine your trip for bread with such a coin. You would need a horse for ordinary small purchases. Then one banker offered the king a very bold idea. He issued the first banknotes in Europe. At first, people were delighted, but the banker printed too many of these bright papers. He did not have enough copper for honest exchange. People ran to the bank, but the cellars were empty. The banker was sentenced to death, and people's trust disappeared. And this happened many times in different countries. In the 19th century, the world managed to bring order. This system was called the beautiful word gold standard. The main currency of the world became the powerful British pound sterling. This was the most honest agreement between the state and a person. Every paper in your pocket had a gold reserve. You could come to the bank on any day. They had to give you gold for the paper. Prices in shops did not change for 50 years. You could save money all your life. But in the 20th century, terrible world wars began. War is always very expensive. Countries needed to buy and produce tanks, guns, shells, cartridges, and more. All this was eventually destroyed. There was catastrophically little gold in the banks. The authorities began to simply print money. In 1971, a landmark event happened. The USA officially refused to exchange its dollars for gold. Now paper money is not backed by anything. The old world of money died forever. We entered the era of money based on trust. The banknotes in your wallet have no real value. They are just paper with watermarks and protection. Your money is worth something only because of your faith. You believe in your government and its strict laws. You believe that tomorrow you will be able to buy food for these numbers. Now, money has become completely invisible and very fast. Your salary is just a message on your phone. You pay for coffee with a simple touch of your watch. It looks like real ancient magic. But inside this magic lives the old story about shells. The numbers in your phone are modern cowrie shells. Before, gold lay in heavy bars in banks. Now, there are only computers there. The modern world stands on this trust and technologies. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next lesson.